Hello, it's Carolyn from the Purple Poncho. Today I'm going to show you how to make corner to corner in the shape of a rectangle. And I'm going to show you with 3 different colors so you can see each section. So we're going to start down here in the corner and we're going to increase on both sides until you get your desired width. And then the green area here, this minty green, is the section where we're going to maintain the same amount of clusters in each row, and we're going to be decreasing on one side and increasing only on the other side. Okay, so decreasing on one side and increasing on the other. And then once we get to our desired height that we want to make it, then we'll start decreasing on both sides to bring it back down to one cluster again. So today I'm going to show you how to make this. Okay, so to begin, I am using my size G or 4mm crochet hook by Furls Crochet, and I'm also using some other items. We could possibly put a stitch marker at one point, I'll show you, and you'll need scissors to change colors. Okay, the yarn I'm using is some number 4 worsted weight. So to begin this design or this technique, make a slip knot and put it on your hook, and we're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to count back to the 4th chain from our hook. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to put our hook in there and we're going to work 1 double crochet in the next. Make another double crochet in the next chain and again in that last chain. And that is row 1 complete. So we have 3 double crochets and we have a chain 3 space or chain 3 on the edge, and we'll be working into these spaces as we continue on. So for row 2, we're going to increase on this side and we're going to increase on the opposite side. So to do that, we're going to chain 6 again. That's 1, 2, 3. I'm going to grab that 3rd chain, I'm going to hold it, 4, 5, 6, and now my thumb is already on the chain that I need to start to do my first double crochet in. It's the 4th chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a little tip there for you to find your space or your next stitch to go into quickly. So there's 1 and another double in the next chain and your last double in that 3rd chain. Okay, now to continue on, we have right side facing on the current cluster we're working on and right side facing on the previous cluster from row 1. So to continue, we're going to take and turn or flip that bottom cluster. So turn your work, and now we have the wrong side facing up. So we have the wrong side facing down here, but we still have the right side facing on our current cluster. So to continue, we're going to connect these two together, and you can see that when you put these up together like this, you line them up, it's just right where your hook wants to go. So we're going to go right in that chain 3 space and yarn over and pull through, and that's a slip stitch. And now we've connected these 2 clusters together. And to finish our row 2, chain 3 and go right into that chain 3 space below and put 3 double crochet in there. So there's 1, 2, and 3. So here's the end of row 2. So you have the wrong side facing now, and then we have the right side and the right side. To make the next row, row 3, chain 6. So there's my first 3 chains, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to grab that third one, and then 4, 5, 6. Go into that 4th chain and make a double. Go in the next chain, make a double, and that last chain, make a double. And again, we have the right side facing here and the right side facing here. So grab that cluster you're working on, rotate or turn or flip your work, bring it together, and connect it with a slip stitch in that chain 3 space. So that's how it's looking. We're going to chain 3, make another cluster with 3 doubles. And we're going to line it up with the next cluster. You can use your fingers to find that chain 3 space at the top if you can't find it. And when you line up your work, just insert your hook right in that chain 3 space, yarn over and pull through, makes a slip stitch, and now that one is connected. And we need to make one more cluster at this point. So we have row 1, 2, 3, and we need the other side to look like this as well. So we need another cluster coming up here like that. So we're going to make one more cluster. In this last space. Okay, so that's row 3. And a good way to count your rows is, excuse me, each cluster is a row. So, and then there's a space in between each set of 3. All right, so there's 1, 2, 3. And it's the same on both sides. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm going to make one more row here before we start making it into a rectangle. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6. Go into the 4th chain and double. Go in the next chain and double. And the last chain and double. Both have right side facing, so turn your work, line it up together, find your chain 3 space, and insert your hook in there, and slip stitch. And we've connected that cluster. Chain 3, and 3 doubles in the chain 3 space. Gonna need some more yarn here. Okay. And that's our next cluster, so line it up to the previous row cluster and slip stitch right there. Go ahead and chain 3 again. Cluster. Line it up to your next cluster here on the left. Slip stitch. That's how it's looking. And we need one more cluster on the other end. Go ahead and make that. And 3. Okay, so now I have 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to add in a new color so you can see the difference in increasing on both sides and only increasing on one side. So to do that, I'm going to take out one of these double crochets and I'm going to partially finish it and change colors at the same time. So to do that, yarn over, pull through 2, and to finish my stitch, I'm going to yarn over with my new color. So I'm just going to place the yarn over my hook and pull through 2. And I'm going to tighten down my turquoise color a little bit. And now I'm ready to go. So I'm going to start with a decrease. So I'm going to chain 3 and turn. And then we're going to take that chain 3 and line that up along the edge and slip stitch in the chain 3 space. And now this is where I'm going to put a stitch marker, because on this side of our work we're going to always do the decrease on the side with the stitch marker. Okay, so next I'm going to chain 3 and continue on just like we were before with the cluster in the chain 3 space. Oops. And then line it up. Find your chain 3 space over here on the left hand side and slip stitch in there. Get some more yarn here. Okay. And then we're going to chain 3 again and put a cluster in that same chain 3 space. So this is a very repetitive pattern, and once you get this part down, it's super fun and easy to make, and it goes really fast. Okay, so here's my third double there, going into my last chain 3 space. So since this is my decrease side, where this side is here, we're going to increase only on this side. So we're going to go ahead and do the chain 3 in this last one and make the final cluster. So when you're doing a rectangle shape, your cluster count should be the same the whole time. Okay, so this is row 5 that we just did, but I've only got 4 clusters in the light green. Row 4 in the turquoise also has 4 clusters. So from now on, however far I'm going up and making it however long, I should have 4 clusters in each row. So to begin the next row, we're going to increase because we're on the increase side, okay? Only doing it on this side. So chain 6, just like before. There's 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to continue in the same exact pattern that we've been doing. Making our clusters. Connect. And we should have 4 in each row. And I'll show you how to count the rows again in a minute when we have more rows to count. Okay, so I have one more square here because this side we want it to be straight across, just going straight across like that. So we're going to make one more cluster here. Well, before I do that, let me just show you. See how it's looking? So we want to fill that little gap right there. And we have 3. 1, 2, 3. So we need 4. So there's a couple ways for you to tell. And this stitch count is just for this little sample, so whatever pattern you're following and however many clusters you're supposed to have, just follow the pattern. This is just to show you the basic idea. Okay, so then we're going to join these together and slip stitch in that chain 3 space. So now we have 4 clusters, and our edge along the left hand side here is fairly straight. So we need to get and we're on our decrease side. Here's my little stitch marker, and we can move this up too, so it's more apparent as we go along. Okay, so we need to get our work. See, our work is down here, and we need to be up here. So what I like to do is chain 3, turn, wrong side facing now, and then slip stitch in that corner. And we can even move this up again, so we're at the very top here. Okay. So on this side, we're not going to increase. Oh, so yeah, turn. Okay, so now we're ready to make our cluster here, 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 and up here. And we'll have 4 again. Chain 3, cluster, two, and 3. Okay. And line it up and slip stitch. Line it up. Find your chain 3 space and slip stitch. Okay, so I have 2. There's 3 clusters. And slip stitch to that last cluster. And again, we know that we're going to increase because our marker is on the other side. So we're going to do 1 more cluster on this edge. And we should have 4 clusters in this row. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and here's how it's looking. So I'm going to do 1 more row. And I'm going to speed up a little bit. Cluster here, and we're going to slip stitch to the edge, that chain 3 space, chain 3 and turn, and we're going to slip stitch up to the corner there. Okay, so now let's count the rows. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so you're going to count on your longest edge, okay? So don't count on the shortest edge like I just did. Okay, so we have how many rows? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And what I'm counting is the set of 3 clusters. And then 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8 rows. So now I'm going to join another color and show you how to decrease it back down to one cluster. So I'm going to take out that slip stitch, and I have my chain 3 and turn. Let me just show you again. Okay, so I'm ending this row, and I'm going to use the same color so it blends in with this edge here. But right now I'm going to insert, I'm going to drop that color, and I'm just going to put a new color on the end of my hook as a yarn over, and then I'm going to pull that through and slip stitch to my last loop there. Okay, so I'm joining in this purple color. Getting some more yarn here. So now this is going to be decreasing on both edges. Okay, so now we're going to decrease on both sides. So once you have your project to however long you need it, okay, going up, then you can do the decrease. So at this point, this would be your length at whatever amount of clusters that you've done. So let's say this measures 8 inches right here, I'm just guessing. Then that's how long your project will be. Okay? And then you can measure across this way, and that's how wide it will be. Okay. So let me get my yarn back on here. Alright, so there's the slip stitch. I need to get a little bit more of a tail. Okay. Okay, so we're going to do the decrease on both sides. So this is already decreasing, so meaning that chain 3 and slip stitch is already a decrease. So we're going to chain 3, and we're going to make our cluster as usual. I'm just folding this over so I can get my hook in there easier. And I'm going to do my cluster. And line it up and slip stitch to the next chain 3 space. And do another cluster. Line it up to the next one and slip stitch. Make another cluster. Line it up to the last one and slip stitch. Now here is where we're going to decrease. We're not going to make that extra cluster on top of this green one because we're decreasing now. So we have 3 clusters, which is what we want, and it's ending on that last cluster here on the edge. So we're going to chain 3, turn, and then we're going to slip stitch into that chain 3 space. And now this next row we're going to have 2 clusters, one right here and one right here. So we're going to chain 3, put our cluster, line it up, slip stitch, and our last cluster, line it up, stitch, and you can see we have one more cluster to make. So we're going to chain 3 and turn and get our work up here in this corner, and now we're able to make that final cluster. Chain 3, and 3, line it up, slip stitch, and I like to end it with a chain 3 and turn, and then slip stitch into the top of that chain 3. And that's the last cluster. So here's how it looks. Isn't that pretty? Maybe that's a better angle. So we started down here by my left thumb, increasing, increasing, and then staying the same, going across up to this point, across here, and then decreasing those last 3 rows. Okay, and both sides look the same because they have the wrong side and the right side on both sides, so it's totally reversible. It's pretty neat. It's a really fun stitch, and I hope you guys have enjoyed learning how to make it in a rectangular shape. Thank you so much for crocheting with me. I hope you will subscribe and follow me on social media of your choice. Thank you for being here, and have a wonderful day.